Good afternoon and welcome to a very sunny, warm South Africa. There are very indiscriminate, well, not indiscriminate, it's probably not the word. There's very difficult tracks to see in the sand there of a lioness, which is very, very good. Now, my name is Tristan. On camera, I have got Craig, and it is a very, very warm welcome to our school that is joining us this afternoon. So, Catalyst Middle School, it's very good to have you. I hope that you guys are going to have a wonderful day with us. Remember that you can ask lots and lots of questions, and you do that by asking your teacher, and your teacher will then send them through to us. So that's going to be how you're going to do it, and I hope that you'll ask a lot. Now, these lioness tracks that we see here are for a lioness that we don't know very well at all. She appeared during the middle of the day, and she walked this way, and now I'm going to try and see if we can find her using her footprints. So she's got these little feet that have moved along, and that's how we often find animals out here, is by using the tracks that they've got. So I know that these tracks are during the middle of the day, and so hopefully we'll be able to track her down. Hopefully she's found herself a nice shady spot to rest, and she'll be sitting there. So that's the plan for this afternoon from my side. Right, now for all the other viewers that have joined us, remember that you guys, we will answer some of your questions a little bit later in the drive, so don't go anywhere. I hope that you'll stay with us, and we'll carry on watching as we go. Now, while I try and find this lioness and see where she's gone and where her tracks have gone, I'm going to send you across to my good friend Brent Leo Smith so that he can say hello and tell you what his plans are for the afternoon.
Well, hello, Catalyst Charter Middle School in Wisconsin. My name is Brent. I have Dangerous Dave, my cameraman, with me today. And while Tristan is looking for lions, I'm looking for leopard. So there's a female leopard with a little cub around here, and I'm looking for her footprints. And she was seen during the day today by another vehicle who said she was walking around this area going, ow! 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 Now, why do you think a leopard would be walking around making a noise like that? Ow! Ow! Why don't you send the answer through to your teacher? Let me know, see if you guys can guess. Why would a female leopard be walking around going, ow! 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 I'm hoping she might have gone to this little waterhole here for a drink, because it's quite hot today. It's about 80 degrees Fahrenheit, 30 Celsius. But it is quite humid at the moment, so she might have popped down to a little waterhole for a drink, so that's where we're heading. If not, we're going to check up around through the thickets here. I got a good feeling we're going to find her. Okay. So I'm waiting to hear all your... During her mating call, she would be going... That is a mating call. Now, it is also a territorial call that she'll use to let other female leopards know that this is her territory and they mustn't come here, otherwise they'll be in trouble. So, here we are at the little water hole. Just want to have a careful check. See if she's not lying behind the little water hole. Okay, unfortunately no leopard behind the water hole, so while I keep trying to search and see where she is, you've met Tristan, you've met me, now it's time for you to meet Taylor.
Hello, all of you are watching today. I'm so excited for you to be aboard, well, the Fun Safari vehicle. My name is Taylor, and on camera with me today is Seb, and I was hoping to introduce you to my warthog friend. But he's not here. He was here yesterday. There's just an Egyptian goose that you can have a look at, which is also quite nice, I suppose. Just one today. Yesterday there were about 3 or 4 of them hanging around the same old pan. And my friend Wilbur the warthog. Wilbur the warthog has obviously gone elsewhere though. Now, I look forward to all of your questions. Remember, you can ask your teachers anything about being on a safari. Perhaps there's something in particular you'd like to know. and we are aiming to look for leopards. But funny enough, we've started with something that a leopard might find quite tasty, an Egyptian goose. Although I haven't really seen many leopards here in South Africa eating Egyptian geese, but when I worked in Zambia, which is sort of north from where South Africa is, I used to see lots and lots of leopards taking down Egyptian geese that would live near the lodge. What are you looking at, Egyptian goose? That's a strange look. I don't think an Egyptian goose has ever given me that look before. Ooh. Maddie slithering straight into the questions, and you're wondering what type of snakes I've seen before. Well, I've seen lots of different types of snakes, and today's a really good one too to find them. We have got pythons, African rock pythons, black mambas, worm slungs, we've got brown house snakes, puff adders, all sorts of wonderful things. I'm just trying to... No, they've flown away. It's a pity. There were some tiny little bright blue birds that had come down to drink. Oh, they're still there, Seb, where Wilbur was sitting yesterday. You got them. They were moving around. So, Maddie, lots of snakes, and we'll keep an eye out for them. They might even be coming out towards these sort of pans. Who knows? Especially the pythons. The pythons actually like to sit in water. They're pretty good swimmers too. Though these are called blue waxbills, these tiny little birds, and they're really, really small. They're even smaller than the size of a canary, maybe just a little bit smaller than one of those, and they've come down for a quick drink. So they're even staying in the shade. They don't want to come out into the sun and get too hot. And they're lovely little birds. They eat all sorts of seeds. So at the moment they'll be very, very happy because all the grasses are flowering. So there's lots of seeds and they're in such good condition. 3 of them. This is a very good spot to do a bit of birding. Now, I'm not wasting too much time down here because when you are an animal and you come down for a drink, you've got to be very careful because you've got to come out into the open. And a small bird like this could be caught by a falcon, by a goshawk, by many different other raptors, maybe even a young leopard learning to hunt. And that's what we're going to go look for now because there doesn't seem to be much else at this dam. So we're going to head in a different direction. We're going to start the car. Whew, and it's very hot today. Very, very, very hot indeed. I hope the clouds come over and block the sun out. I don't say that very often, but I've already forgotten the temperature. Am I mistaken? 86 degree Fahrenheit, but I think the weather's lying. I do not think that that's the temperature at all. I think it feels even hotter than that. I think it at least feels like it's 93, 94 degree Fahrenheit, at least. It's super, super, super warm. So we're going down one of the main roads now. And hopefully we're going to pick up some tracks of the leopard because she has got a young cub. So who knows, maybe she's been moving around during the day. But Tristan also looking for cats, not a leopard, but a lion. Let's go see how his tracking skills are faring him.
Well, it's going pretty good actually because I just looked down, saw that there were no tracks, and I've spotted the lion right here. So we have this lioness just on my left-hand side. She's down by a little waterhole having a bit of a rest. So I'm going to just try and get into a place where we can see her. So Aidan, you're asking if I know all the tracks by memory, or is there a list? Well, Aidan, so there is obviously a list of tracks and ways to see tracks, but you have to memorize them in order to know how they work. So you've got to know what a lion's footprint looks like as opposed to a leopard footprint, as opposed to a rhino or an elephant or a buffalo, and they all look very different, and then you learn them when you first start, and that's how you're able to kind of work out what's going on. But from memory is how I know which ones look like which. Now this little lioness that we see here is an interesting one. She is a lion where she's been unfortunately fighting with other lions, and so she's been chased away out of her pride and is now trying to move around and probably trying to find her pride again and trying to find the rest of her pride, and she's a little bit lost at the moment, unfortunately. So she looks a bit scruffy, but she'll get better as long as she can find food. but it's going to be very difficult for her because at the end of the day she's going to have to come across a lot of other lions, hyenas, and they're all going to give her a hard time, and that's maybe why she's got so many cuts and scrapes. So it's going to be very difficult for her to survive by herself. She needs to find her pride very quickly in order to actually survive and to be a part, well, to kind of keep going in life. So it's an interesting kind of thing. The thing is though is that she's not too skinny. She, I mean, could do with a bit of food, but she's definitely not skinny that we have to worry about her just yet. Now, Aubrey, you're asking what kind of cat species do we get here? Well, of the big cats, we get the three big cats are lions, leopard, and cheetah. So those are the three big ones that we get. And then in the small cats, we get wildcat, caracal, and serval. So there's 6 cats in total that we see here in this particular area. And they all compete with each other. Even though the smaller cats and the lions are completely different in the way that they do things, lions will often try and chase away the smaller cats and even hunt them for food from time to time. So it's kind of interesting how they all fit in together, but yes, 6 different species of cats in this particular area. And like I said, there's big cats, which are part of what's called the Panthera, and then there's the normal cats, which are part of Felidae. Now, the difference between those two is that these big cats have a cartilage in their throat that is fused basically and stops them from being able to purr, and that's what separates them from being a big cat to the smaller cats that you see. And it's why cheetah are part of the big cats. Well, actually are not part of the big cats, sorry, they're part of the Felidae family, and even though they are very large, they are not actually part of the Panthera family that we see lion and leopard part of. But nice to see this little lioness. I haven't seen this lioness in a very, very long time. Like I say, she doesn't come from this area, and I used to work in an area where she does come from. And the last time I saw her, she was a tiny little cub. It was very, very small. And so now is time to kind of be moved on. And I'm pretty sure it's trying to find its pride. That's why it's moving so much. This morning, this lion was actually seen. I spoke to a friend of mine who works near us and quite far from where we are actually at the moment. And they said they saw this lioness probably, I would say, in miles, maybe about 10 miles away. So this lioness has moved over 10 miles during the course of the day in the hot African sun trying to find her pride. And she won't sit for very long because she's trying to constantly look for everybody, and she knows that she's very uncomfortable in this area, that it's very difficult for her to survive. Willow, you're asking how we detect the animals so easily. Well, it's not always easy to detect these animals. This particular lion I know very well because, well, it's been moving around on its own for the last few days, and we know that it comes from a certain pride, and with all the scars on it, it makes it much easier for me to be able to tell that it is that lion. Also, the age of this lioness by herself, she would normally be with a pride. She's still a young, almost cub-like animal, and so it's easy to tell that it's her. But when they get a little bit older and they're in prides, then normally the numbers of animals in a pride and how many cubs they've got, that all can tell you which pride it is. It has a different type of spot, much like your fingerprints. If you all look at your fingerprints, you've got little lines on your fingers, and if you all go look at each other's, you'll see that the lines don't match. And it's the same with the spots of a leopard, is that they all have different spots, and you can use their spots to kind of tell the difference. And in other animals like elephants and those kind of things, you use any tears in the ears, also how Hunter, you're asking how many lions I've seen around this area. Well, Hunter, in the many years that I've spent in this part of the world, I would have to tell you, I can't even tell you actually how many it is, but I can probably say easily close to 150 lions in the last few years that I've been here. But currently now, if we had to drive around and we had to find all the lions that we get here, we would probably have, I need to think, probably close to about 50 lions in total with all the lions that we get in this kind of section. So there's about that many, and they move a lot. They follow buffalo, which is their main animal that they like to hunt, and they move in and out and go around. So they do kind of have a lot of movement, and we don't always have 50 in this place at the same time. Some will come in, some will go out, and it will change a little bit. Right, now while we watch our little lioness try and cope with the heat by panting, let's send you across to Brent, who I'm sure is coping with the heat by trying to look for a leopard.
Welcome back, guys. We're still looking for those leopards. I'm looking at all the shady bits because it's so hot today. Oh, there you got a spider web in your front of your lens there. All right, there we go. I think I got it. Hello, Caden. Caden's wondering if I've ever found large groups of leopards. If so, how many? Now, generally, leopards are solitary, and if you find a grouping of leopards, it could be competition over a kill or over mating. So the largest group of of leopards I've ever found was 7 in one place. There was 1 adult male, and there were 5 females who were all coming to estrus, all trying to mate with him and fighting with each other, and 1 young male who didn't want to leave his mom but chose a really bad day to follow her because it was just absolute pandemonium around. But so that's it. And normally you will find leopards singly or possibly a mom with her babies. They do interact with each other, but they prefer to spend their time alone. Unlike lions, which are social, which makes that lioness that Tristan's with so unusual. So have you guys managed to work out what a leopard going ow, ow, ow is doing yet? Aha, let's see. So it's definitely not mating. I think I'm going to go check towards the next waterhole. Let's say it is quite warm today. Hello, Lexi. Lexi would like to know how alike do male and female leopards look, and how do you tell the difference? Well, a male leopard is on average about 50% bigger than a female leopard, so they're much taller and they've got much bigger in the shoulders. But the main distinguishing feature is they have something called a dewlap, which is the skin under their neck that becomes very thick and it hangs down. Now, the reason that they have this thick skin around their neck is to protect them when they fight with other male leopards for territory. And so they are quite a bit bigger. A female leopard on average probably weighs between 100 and 110 pounds. A very big female, maybe 120 pounds. And a male leopard, an extraordinary male leopard, will weigh 200 plus pounds, but normally around 170, 180 pounds. So almost 50% bigger on average. Okay, now I've got some nice soft sand coming up here, so I'm going to have a look for footprints. No leopard footprints here. Hello, Zane. So Zane would like to know what type of animals do the big cats eat. Well, it all depends on what kind of big cat you are. So leopards like small to medium-sized antelope. So impala, which is about the same size as a white-tailed deer, up to young kudu or female kudu for very big males. But normally small antelope, duiker, steenbok, impala, nyala, bushbuck, and the lions, they like to eat much bigger things since they are so much bigger. They like to eat buffalo and zebra and wildebeest and kudu males and bigger food. Cheetah eat prey a similar size to the leopard. And those are our 3 big cats here. So that pretty much covers all of their diet. Now, leopards are the most adaptable of the 3 big cats. And that means they can live in a vastly more habitats than the other cats, and leopards can survive by eating grasshoppers and tortoises and even catfish out of drying ponds. So they're the most adaptable, which means they live throughout the harshest desert right up to the highest mountain ranges. And on Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the highest mountain in Africa, in the 70s, a leopard was found frozen in the glacier at over 3,000 meters above sea level. So very, very, very adaptable, and they have a very wide range of habitats that they can live in. Okay, well, while I keep searching for a big cat, Tristan's already found one, so let's go see what the lazy lion's up to.
Well, Brenty, our lion is not lazy. It's busy watching around. I'm pretty sure it's a hungry lion and is hoping that there's going to be something that's going to come for a drink of water at the pan that it can maybe hunt. Now, Caden, you're asking how I can tell it's the same animal since since I last saw it was a cub. Well, there's two reasons. One is I know the rough age of this animal, and I know that it comes from a certain pride, and so if I just work back the time, I know that I saw cubs from that pride and from that female, and I know that she hasn't had any other cubs, or that pride hasn't had any other cubs besides these ones to fit in this time frame that we're in. So that's the easiest way, is that I know that 15 months ago, there was a lioness that had cubs from the Salala Pride, and this is about the right age for this little one that we see here. So that's roughly how, but we could also use the pattern around the whisker area. So just above her, between her nose and her whiskers, over there, you see there's lots of little dots that go along where the whiskers are coming out. Now that will be different on every single line. So if you know those little patterns over there, then you can work out exactly which line it is, and you can count those whiskers, and then any other markings like little nicks in the ears or anything like that would tell us. But like I say, I don't know exactly which one of the cubs. I just know that I saw all the cubs that she had, and so it's one of those cubs that we're seeing here. But shame, she's a very hot girl at the moment, lots of panting as well. So Kyra, no, this lioness is too young to have cubs. They only normally start having cubs when they reach around 3.5 to 4 years old. That's generally when they start to have cubs. And so this one is still got about 2.5, 3 years to go before it's able to actually have little ones of its own. So it's just lost. It's trying to find its mom and trying to find the pride that it's in. Now, the reason why it's lost is we don't actually know. I think it might be something to do with there's new males that have headed into the area where her pride is, and so those are the males that we normally see here, but they are new to that area, and that means that the males will often try and attack the cubs because they want to bring the mommy into heat again to be able to mate with her. And so we've got a situation where maybe that's what's happened, is the males have actually chased this little cub. That's maybe why she's got some bad scars, and then she's kind of come into this area, and she's probably going to try and see if she can get back towards where her pride is and hopefully rejoin them. But it's not easy for a young lion like this. If she makes it, it's going to be a really, really rare situation. I don't know if she's going to have the strength to do it. She probably doesn't really know how to hunt very well just yet. But cats are amazing creatures because they'll do anything they can to stay alive. And so she'll feed off things like frogs, in being International Frog Day. She should hopefully stay away from the frogs, but she'll feed off frogs, a thing called a terrapin, which is like a freshwater turtle, lizards, scrub hares, which is like a little rabbit. So lots of different small things, even birds, to try and just keep her going. And she'll scavenge. So she'll try and find little bits of meat that maybe have been left over by another lion or by hyenas or leopards somewhere around there. Now, while I watch her and see what she gets up to, it seems as though she might have spotted something and is very interested in something across the water. So while I watch where she goes, let's send you across to Taylor, who has got something that is using its camouflage and is very similar to this cat.
Let's see if you can spot what we've got. Because at the moment, I can't see anything very well. Can you? If you look very, very, very carefully, you may be able to see a leopard that is panting away. It is very, very hot, like I said earlier. And she's tucked herself underneath a tree, trying to hide away from the sun. And it's a young leopard. It's a young leopard, and her name is Kuchava. Now, she lives up to her name. Kuchava means skittish. She is a shy leopard, but she's definitely got much better. But she's also particularly shy at the moment because she has a very, very young cub that is only 3 months old, but we haven't seen the cub yet. Now, Charlie, you're wondering at what age are leopards fully grown? Well, I suppose it depends if it's a boy or a girl, Charlie. So a female at about 4 years old is not going to get too much bigger. Might put on a little bit more weight and get a little bit stockier, but she's not going to grow any taller. However, a male leopard is going to keep growing for much longer, And they normally only reach their, well, as big as they're going to get at about 6 years old, 5 or 6 years old. And again, they just get more and more muscle as they get older too. So sometimes when a leopard is at about 8 years old or so, they start to form a big dewlap underneath their throat. So it's like an extra saggy piece of skin around their necks. And you don't really see it when they're younger. Sometimes, like there's a young male leopard named Hosanna. He's very young still, but he's already starting to get a very small dewlap. So we think he's going to be a big boy. And he's only 2 and a little bit at the moment. So I would say when you see a male leopard and he's about 8 years old, he's not going to get any bigger than that. He'll be the biggest that he's going to be. But it also just depends if they've eaten or not. That makes a huge difference on the size of a leopard. So if they haven't eaten anything for a while, they look like skin and bones, and the same thing goes for a lion. But as soon as they've filled those bellies, it's almost like they double in size again. So that also plays a big role in it. Now, I can smell rotten meat as well, so I think she might have a kill somewhere. Colin, you're wondering, how do I know if this leopard has a cub if I've never seen it before? Because other people have seen it on safari. Now, the leopards and the lions in the Sabi Sandville, so that's the area that we're in now, the private game reserve. These are the most famous leopards and lions in the world. I promise you right now, if you ask your teacher to maybe go onto Facebook and type in Kuchava, Kuchava, female leopard, she has her own Facebook page. How cool is that? So even though I haven't seen her, other people have seen her in the area and they've seen her baby. And they post all these pictures about her so that when people come on safari in the Sabi Sand, because it's the best safari destination in South Africa, they might want to still follow and see what's happened to the leopard or the pride of lions that they saw, even if they're sitting at home in America or in France or perhaps even in Australia. So it's quite cool. Hey, would you have ever thought that a lion and a leopard could have a profile on Facebook? I didn't, but they do. It's really cool. So you can even ask your mom and dad to help you follow some of the lives of these animals too. But Kuchava's quite a young girl. Now, you may have heard Brent say that he's also looking for a leopard by the name of Tundi. This is Tundi's daughter, in fact. It's so hard to see her in there. Carl, you're wondering what is my favorite big cat in Africa? It's actually the cat that Tristan's looking at, that Tristan has found this afternoon, the lion. I love the lions. I've loved leopards too because they're so beautiful and the way that they can climb trees is just amazing. But I have a soft spot. Perhaps it's because my hair sometimes looks like a male lion's mane, especially if I haven't brushed it in the morning and I've just woken up. Look how she's staring at us. That's incredible, Sebastian. It's kind of a little bit scary, don't you think? That we can't really see her. The only way we see her is when Sebastian zooms in like this. And she's watching us. She's making sure we don't make any sudden movements and we don't get too close to her. I don't know if her cub is with her or maybe she has stashed it somewhere in the bushes away from her. Or that cub could just be hiding under the tree, but we're not going to move around too much because we don't want to scare her. We don't want to make her feel uncomfortable. Right, off you go, back across to Tristan, whose lioness is still staring into the distance.
She is. I think she's in a situation where she's hoping for some sort of a meal to come past and through the trees and just down to this waterhole that she can maybe try and hunt. But she's a little young for that. I don't think she's going to get it right, unfortunately. But we'll see. You never know. So Lexi was very dependent, but on average in this area, normally 3 to 4 cubs is how many a lioness will have, but they can have less. Sometimes we just see a lioness having just the one, and sometimes you can see them having up to even 8, but I've never seen 8 personally. The most I've seen is 7 little cubs with a lioness, which is a lot of mouths to feed, and it takes a big toll on a lioness because she has to provide milk for that many, and it makes life very, very difficult. But normally we see 4, that's the kind of average. 3 to 4 is the average that we see in this area. So, Sam, no, there's no such thing as mating season for the big cats. The big cats will mate any time of the year. You'll find that as long as a female comes into estrus and is able to mate, then the male will find her and try. Now, it doesn't matter if that's summer, winter, autumn, or spring, and the reason why that is because big cats eat meat, and there's always meat around, so they don't have to kind of time their young ones roughly in the season where there's going to be more. They generally have their cubs at any single time, and they can normally provide enough food for them and be able to actually feed them and raise them. Doesn't matter if it's at any time of the year. Also, the cats look after their young for very long periods of time. You'll have a situation where lions will look after their young ones. If it's a female, she'll be absorbed into the pride, but even males, the mother is looking after them until they're around 3 years old, and then they start to hunt for themselves and form part of the pride. But up until then, it's a situation where they're pretty dependent. So long time on their mother means that they will mate any time, because if they had to wait for a season, then they're going to have less cubs throughout their life. And any animal out here is designed to try and have as many offspring as possible. Shame. She's looking around hoping that something's going to appear. Aiden, well, it's difficult with big cats because they are opportunistic, particularly an animal like this. It's going to try and find food at any opportunity it can, but they generally try and hunt in the darker periods of the day, so just after sunset and just before sunrise, and a little bit through the night, depending on what's around. So another pride of lions that was in this area last night, they were chasing buffalo around during the course of the night, and that's when their kind of peak activity is, so from sort of sunset to sunrise. But I also have seen lions hunting in the middle of the day at 12 o'clock in bright sunlight, going after things. And in fact, this little lioness actually caught a terrapin today, so a type of turtle. She caught one in one of these pans a little bit earlier in the day and had a snack on that. It wouldn't have been enough nutrients to fill her, but at least she found something in that regard. So they can be quite active during the day as well, but generally their hunting is around sunsets, sunrise, sort of hours and into the darkness beyond. So it's an interesting kind of thing that they spend a lot of time. They're better designed for nocturnal hunting than they are for diurnal. The animals that are active during the day have very good eyesight, good hearing, good sense of smell, and so during the day is easier for them. When it gets dark, the cats have much better senses and it becomes much easier for them to try and hunt certain individuals. So that's why they try and spend more time at night moving around. Right, now Taylor has managed to find a leopard. We have got this young lioness, and well, Brent, who was supposed to be the one to find the leopard first, is still driving around, apparently covering a lot of distance.
Well, I have to let them have a chance. I normally find everything first, so they get a bit grumpy if I do it every day. Okay, so we're still having a quick look for that female leopard, and I'm still waiting to hear, if you guys know what the leopard's doing when it goes, ow, ow, ow. Still haven't heard back from you. But while I look for leopard, I can always find other things like elephants. And we've got some elephants walking straight towards us. But while I head towards those elephants, Eli was wondering, what is the least common and the most common animal we get here? The most common animal is probably the impala, which is an antelope about the same size as a white-tailed deer, and everything eats impala. But the least common is probably a pangolin, which is a scaly anteater. Or an aardwolf, which is a part of the hyena family, but it only eats termites. Isn't that incredible? Hello, Ellies. So we've got a little family group here. What you'll normally find is a mom and her offspring. Now, elephants can occur in little family groups. They sometimes come together in bigger groups, and these elephants are after an absolute delicacy. Now, it is pretty much whatever you can imagine your favorite food in the whole world is, that is what the marula fruit is to an elephant. And you can see how they're sniffing around on the ground, picking up the fruit that has fallen from the tree. And their sense of smell is so good that they can actually find the tastiest ones, and they'll ignore the ones that aren't ripe. Now, Colin's wondering, do lions ever hunt elephants? Yes, they do, Colin, in very, very extreme circumstances. There's prides of lions in northern Botswana, around the Chobe River that have actually learned to specialize in hunting elephants. From about that one to this one's age to a little bit bigger, but they would never try an adult elephant that was healthy. Hey, little boys, this is a young male, and that's also a young male. Both two little boys with mom. Okay, eating all the last delicious marula fruit. Now you can see how they're flapping their ears quite heavily. That's their inbuilt cooling system. They can have just under 2 gallons of blood in an adult elephant in their ears, and what happens is that the blood that's been circulated through the body and that gets quite warm goes into their ears, and they'll flap their ears to cool it down, sending cool blood through the rest of the body. And what that does is it enables elephants to operate through the hottest times of the day when other animals are unable to do so and are just sleeping or snoozing or hiding in the shade. Oh, let me just turn around quickly. Oh, well done, Caden. When a leopard's going, ow, 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 it is calling its cub. So while we sit a little bit longer with these little Ellies, there's the little boy, he's not quite a teenager, he's about 8-9 years old. Let's send you back to Taylor and the spotted kitty cat.
I'm so excited that Kuchava decided to move and come out of her hiding spot. Now, I'm talking a little bit softer because Kuchava was calling for her cub, making the noises exactly that Brent was making. And this little cub is very, very, very young. So I'm just looking around. It's not really used to cars. It's not really used to the sounds of our voices. So I just want to make sure that I can see where it's coming from. It might be a little bit shy to come out, and I know leopard cubs very well. They don't like to listen to their moms when they're called. Let's see if we can hear her calling. Now she doesn't want to make a sound. I was hoping she was going to carry on calling, but I think she's tired of calling her little one now. There we go. Did you hear that sound? I think she's getting a bit annoyed. It's a very soft sound. Now, Kaylee, you were wondering at what age do the cubs or the leopards go off on their own? She sounds very concerned. The boys normally stay with mom for a little bit longer than the girls. So sometimes the males can stay with their mothers for up to between 16 and 18 months old. So almost 2 years, but not quite 2 years. And the girls will sometimes leave a little bit earlier than that. Here. She's going, please come, I'm calling you. That little cub is going to be in trouble if it doesn't listen to mom. I don't know if the cub is a boy or a girl. Like I said, I haven't seen it yet. So it'll be quite nice to see. Come on. Where are you hiding? And mom would have hidden it as well. And Lily, I think you and I are on the same page, because I was just about to answer your question, which was, why do they hide their cubs? So they're very vulnerable for the first couple of weeks of their life. So mom needs to keep them hidden away, nice and safe from other leopards, from things like baboons, hyenas, lions, that if they came across them, they would kill them. So that is why they hide their cubs. So if they have eaten something, mom will call them out, suckle their little ones while she's had something to eat. And then when she's finished, she'll play with them for a little bit, and then she'll send them away. They don't normally just have one cub. They can have up to 3 or 4 cubs. But for a first-time mother, because she's still very young, it's the first time that she's had cubs, normally one is normal. So now we just have to wait patiently. But it could end up that she ends up calling for an hour before she gets tired of that little one's nonsense and then decides, right, I'm going to come and fetch you. And it's like when you go to the shopping centre and you've run away from your mom and your mom calls. And if you don't come after the fifth or sixth time that mom has called, you know that you're going to be in big trouble and probably get grounded or something like that. Well, no sweets for you. Now, Tia, you're wondering how old do leopards normally live for? Again, it depends. Remember, these are wild animals. So out in the wild, their lifespan will be a little bit shorter than if they were living in captivity. Life is very tough for them in the wild, but of course it's the life that they know. Leopards can live up to 14, 15 years old. I know a leopard that only died at 16. She almost turned 17 years old. Her name was Nottens. She was a very old girl. She was lucky to live that long, but I would say for a female, around 14 years is a good age, and for males, normally maybe between 12, 13 years old. But again, they can also live a little bit longer. It just depends on what's happening in the area. Life is tough for a leopard out here. And this little leopard, if we ever get to see it, unfortunately doesn't stand a good chance of survival. Life is so hard. Imagine having to try and hide away, hope that no new male leopards come into the area, because if they do, and their cub is too young, they're going to kill them. The male leopards don't want to raise or pass their genetics on to and help protect a leopard that is not theirs. She stopped calling now. I think she's tired. Just sitting back down in the grass again, under a nice shady tree. It's a good spot that she's got here. A very nice spot. And also the clouds are going past the sun every now and then, which is making it nice and cool for Sebastian and I. Luckily for us, we don't have big coat of fur like that leopardess does. Can't imagine how hot she must be feeling. Right, well, we're definitely not going to go anywhere. We're going to just sit here and hope that the little leopard cub comes out so we can find out if it's a boy or a girl. Let's go see what Tristan's lioness is now doing.
Well, our lioness got up a little bit and she walked not far, maybe about 20 meters, and then decided to lie down again. And shame, she's looking on the skinny side and really does need a good meal and mom, I think, to look after her. Caden, you're asking if lions or leopards can be born with defects such as birth defects, such as something like autism. Well, they can be born with defects in that they might have something wrong with a leg or a spine, and maybe there are lions that do have mental conditions, but it's difficult to say, because generally any animal that is born with some sort of a defect like that inhibits its ability to move or to keep up or to try and kind of find food for itself generally doesn't last very long out here, unfortunately. So you have a situation with any animal, even this lioness. This is a perfectly healthy lioness prior to her leaving the pride, but it's very difficult for her to survive because of the number of other predators out here. So things like hyenas, other lions, leopard, wild dogs, they all cause a lot of danger for animals. And so anything that's born with some sort of a defect often, unfortunately, doesn't make it very far past the first few weeks and unfortunately dies and gets caught by something. But, I mean, I've never seen a situation where I've seen any sign of autism or anything like that within a lion or a leopard that is born in these areas. Maybe it does happen, but I don't think so. I don't think autism is prevalent in cats at all. And like I say, most of the issues that we have within cats and things like that would be more physical deformities in the event of maybe something like spinal kind of deformity or something on the legs or something like that. And it's normally brought about by inbreeding. It's not actually something that is brought about kind of in a wild population that has good genetics. You very seldom see anything with lions where there's deformities unless they've been bred pretty much interbred with their own family for a number of generations, then you might start to see things like that happen. But it's not something we see every day at all. And there's some diseases and some things that happen to people that won't happen to animals at all. And you'll have a situation where some animals will suffer from things that we don't suffer from. So something like foot and mouth, for example, we don't get it, but some of the animals will get it. Now, Mackenzie, you're asking if some of the animals are endangered that are here. Yes, there are quite a number of endangered animals. There's one of the most endangered animals that we have is another type of predator, which is called the wild dog. And the wild dogs are very cool animals, and I'm sure Brent would love to find some wild dogs this afternoon because that's his absolute favorite animal, and they're really, really cool. So in terms of endangered animals, wild dogs, cheetah, lions are starting to become a bit of an endangered species. We're seeing a situation where a lot of lions, unfortunately, are being missed and being moved and being killed and being hunted in places where they shouldn't, and so their numbers are declining. We've got animals here that's like the pangolin, which is one of the most endangered animals in the world and one of the most trafficked animals in the world, which basically means that people are illegally hunting them and sending them overseas, and so they are also under huge threats. And there's a number of others in the bird and insect world as well. But unfortunately, it's that time of the day where we need to say goodbye to all of you. I hope that you guys had a wonderful time with us during the course of this 45 minutes and that you are going to have a great day further at school. And I hope that you don't get too much homework and that you come along on a safari at another stage with us here. Right, now, while we kind of sit with our lioness, the rest of you, we're going to send you off to Brent and we're going to continue our safari and see where Brent is and what he's been up to.
Welcome back, everyone. We are playing with elephants today, it seems, as we travel along Cheetah Cut Line trying to look for any sign of Thandi. Elephants picking up the last of the marulas for the season. I can hear other elephants spread out through the bush, but we've only got one here. And you can see how flattened the grass is around where she is. It's literally the last of the last marulas of the season. But every little delicious vitamin C filled morsel counts. Now remember, today is World Frog Day. That is not a frog, in case you're wondering. That is an African elephant, all about 3.5 tons of hair. But send through any frog questions you have, and we'll be answering them in a special extension of the safari, while we will be trying to find as many frogs as possible at the different pans. Okay, so what I've decided, I'm going to leave Thandi for that area for a little bit and just wander around, see what we can find, and then head back there when it's a bit cooler. And they might be on the move. While we continue on our search, let's go back to Madam McCurdy and Kuchava, the scared one.
Well, how cool is this? Finally got to see my favorite leopard of the northern Sabi sand. She's looking up now, though. There was a bird that flew over the head and it got a fright and went, "Ah, leopard!" and then stopped talking. And that's what she was staring up at. Now, she was obviously calling for her cub. And she's just starting again. Come on, girl, call a little louder than that. Now, you can hear a bit of movement, of rustling of leaves, but I think that's because there was a kudu cow that had actually spotted Kuchava and was barking at her. Maybe because she's called in the same spot, she's going to get up and go and look for the little one. Which is going to be challenging because it's exceptionally thick in here. But like I said earlier with the kids, I'm going to keep my voice down and not bellow across Chitwa because I don't want to scare the little cub that's probably not used to too many vehicles, or let alone the sound of our voices. I'm sure though when it heard that kudu barking, it would have given that little one a bit of a fright. So perhaps it's going to lay low for a little bit. Also here, angry elephants in the distance, perhaps on their way down to Chitwa Dam. But I think we'll try and spend as much time as we can until that cub comes out and before everybody goes on safari. It's nice to be the only one here. Now, Marcy, you're wondering why are cubs so stubborn? Well, I suppose they're just like children. It's like, why do children never listen to their parents? It's a difficult question to answer. Hey, Seb, I mean, you can only talk firsthand. I just know that I was a little brat, and whenever my mother called me, of course, I did everything but listen to her, like most kids do. So, a Yankee girl coming out into the open a little bit. So I suppose she knows, or not she, I don't even know if it's a little girl or boy. Also, has anybody seen any decent pictures where they've been able to have a look and see if a cub is a girl or a boy? I'm not sure. But hopefully we'll be able to find out. I'll be able to see firsthand. They do eventually listen. Like I said, that kudu was barking really loudly. I got a fright. I almost jumped out of my seat. So you can imagine a young leopard cub that's still learning all the sounds of the bush, probably going to intimidate that little one too. And it might take a little bit more of encouragement to come out. Also listening to birds alarming in the distance, but I think that might be too far away for that cub. I don't think that little one is too far. Maybe it's having a snooze. Maybe it's fast asleep and didn't even hear Mom calling. But I am still looking around. At one point she was facing sort of more north, staring in that direction as she was calling. Now she seems to be looking a little bit further south. But that could also be the kudu, because I know the kudu went around that way. I think he's just keeping an eye on it. Very peaceful and calm. And the turtle doves. You can hear all sorts of birds chirping. I'm hoping we're going to get another spectacular sunset this evening. Well, we're definitely not going to go anywhere. Hopefully Kuchava keeps on calling and is persistent, and that little cub eventually listens and comes on out. That'll be a very nice Tuesday afternoon surprise. But Tristan's Lioness starting to wake up, and she's giving herself some much tender love and care.
Well, I don't know if she's starting to wake up in that she's been pretty much awake the entire time we've been here. So she's not been really sleepy at any point while we've been sitting with her. So she's kind of very alert, and I feel sorry for this little one. I mean, it must be so confusing and so difficult for this little one to try and survive. I know she was seen a few days ago, it must have been about 3-4 days ago, somewhere near Londolosi's northern boundary. And then this morning, she was seen at Samambili Lodge, which gives you an idea of just how far she's walked during the course of today. So she's had having a tough time of it. It's not easy for her. I know there's a lot of confusion as to which lioness this is or where she's from. And I know a lot of people are saying that it is a Styx individual. This is not a Styx lion. The Styx of this size are both males. This is a female, so it's a lioness, which means that she comes from the Styx Pride. Now, there's also a Mangen lioness that was split up and was hurt by a buffalo, but she has a massive gash under her chin and around her throat, which has got a big sort of bloody area there. So it's not her. It's from the sort of photos that we've sent out and what I've seen, it is a young Solala lioness, and I think in all likelihood she was split from the pride when the Birminghams went into that area. The Birminghams have been spending a lot of time down in the south. In fact, I believe Brent was telling me that they are all the way down on Mkombi, which is very close to Lion Sands, which is the southern part of the Sabi Sands, all four of them. So they are miles away, and maybe they came across the Solala pride, saw the females, and they've unfortunately split these cubs away. And this little one is now trying to probably get back into that area, and so she's wandering in areas that she doesn't know. The Solalas, since they've had these cubs, haven't been up this way, so she's just probably trying to just walk and stay out of the way of everybody. But she's definitely had a bit of a mauling from something. I suspect, given the number of cuts and scars on her, that she's been mauled by probably hyenas at some point, because she literally has bite marks from her front paws all the way down her body to her back legs. So seems as though she got caught by something, and the only thing that really does that to lions, other than other lions, which in all likelihood she would have been dead, is hyenas. So she might have got attacked by hyenas at some point. The scars have healed though, which is interesting, and she's trying to looks like she's coming into a bit of better condition. And actually, the photo that I saw of her 3-4 days ago, she looked worse than she does now. She actually looks as though she's picked up a bit of weight. So maybe she found something in some way. Now, Inferno, you're wondering if she was licking a wound somewhere on her front leg there. I can't see nicely, but I think so. I think that her front left leg does have a wound. You see there's a little kind of bump on it. So I think the front left has a little wound on the back side, and that's maybe what she was busy grooming off. But look at the number of scars. You can see there's just bites and puncture wounds and scrapes and cuts everywhere. So this poor girl has really had it tough, and if she survives this, it'll be quite an incredible story. The thing is, though, is that if she can't find her pride, the chances of her surviving is very, very slim. At the end of the day, this is a young lioness. She doesn't know how to hunt yet. She's younger than our Nkuhuma sub-adults that we see, and so life is going to be very, very tough. But you can see she still is quite skinny. She's quite thin, and maybe she can rely on things like terrapins. We know that Hosana managed and Shongile, and this lioness is actually bigger than both of them, so maybe it will be able to survive with those kind of things, but it won't know the technique. It won't have been taught how to hunt very well just yet, and so life is going to be quite tough. But I'm hoping it manages to track its way back down to the Solala Pride. So Simon, you're asking what techniques lions do use to hunt. Well, generally they're in a pride, so that makes life a lot easier. You can see she's a lioness that's grown up around cars though, because there she's going to walk right underneath the back of the car and below the tire. So we'll try and keep up with her. She's just going to wait for her to go past. But in terms of hunting, you'll have a situation where you'll have her normally they'll use others and they'll try and chase towards each other. They obviously do ambush hunting when they're on their own and as young individuals. And so we'll have a situation where they try and get themselves into a place much like a leopard would and stalk and wait for a leopard for an animal to come closer and then pounce on it. Good. Now she is moving. She's going southwards, so I think she's heading off down towards Twin Dam side. So we'll keep following her. While we do that, let's send you over to Taylor, who must be bouncing like a little bouncy ball, given that Kuchava has been contact calling, and maybe that little cub is going to come out.
We're hoping, Tristan, we're hoping. I'm bouncing very quietly, which I'm not really good at. But because it's my favorite leopard of the northern Sabi sands, I'm trying my best, my absolute best, to not get too excited. She's stopped calling, though. She actually hasn't called for the last 5 or so minutes since you've left us. She's just been sitting nice and quietly, I think enjoying the breeze, just like Seb and I are. Every now and then, it's so stunning, hey Seb? You just want to stick your arms out the car. It is like a bit of aircon, yes, and I think she's enjoying it too. Now, JC Basinga, you're wondering what are Kuchava's distinguishing marks? Well, I haven't seen her for a while, but she's definitely got 3 spots on the left side of her face. See those top spots? Pretty much in line with the top of her nose. And then she's got another 3 on the right side of her face. So she's got a 3-3 pattern. I'm trying to think what else. Can we see anything else? Maybe some... Look at that marking on the left side of her face. See those dots coming from the corner of her left eye? Sort of 1, 2, 3 coming straight down. Well, there's 4 of them coming straight down if you count the one in the corner of her eye. That's quite cool, in fact. It almost does a big spiral from her corner of her left eye. And then if you go down and come back towards her nose, look how it's sort of those dots all twirl in. I've just noticed that now. But that's quite a cool little feature. Maybe somebody can take a screenshot if you know what I'm talking about, or I might have to do it, and then connect the dots. But I suppose you can find something that you would like to use that's easy for you to recognize. You can see she's a young girl. Look at those teeth. Perfect, still nice and white. not chipped, although we know Shongile ended up chipping one of her teeth and she was still quite young. So Kuchava has managed to maintain her teeth really, really well. She's giving off a couple of sort of contact calls every now and then. Hello, Lady Starfire. It's great to hear from you, of course. Now, you're wondering if I know how many cubs Kuchava has had. This is her first litter. I don't think she would have had any cubs prior to this. She's quite young. When was her birthday? Was it August 2014? Or was it September? I have a brown... I was going to say I have a little black book, but it's not. I've got a little brown notebook with all the information in. But I know she should be 4 this year. She was born in 2014. Sorry, Seb, I'm just digging. I haven't got much space in Jigger, so I've wedged all my things at the back. Let me have a look. So, I mean, she could have had a cub already, and we maybe just didn't know about it. Maybe it didn't make it. That's also a possibility. Let's go lions and leopards. Do you guys remember when I was making those notes? Okay, she's calling again. Let's have a little listen. Yes. August, September 2014. That's when she was born. They're uncertain exactly of her date of birth, but I thought it was somewhere around there. Shall we say she was born on the 28th of August, and then her and I can just share a birthday? It doesn't really work like that. Rebecca's laughing at me now. I'll tell you what she said. She said, well done for telling everybody when your birthday is. She's a great way to get lots of presents. I feel like it's public knowledge anyways, because it's all over my social media accounts. Having a good laugh. Come on, girl, go fetch your cub. Please. I really want to see it. I really, really, really want to see her. She's a beautiful girl. She really is a stunning cat. Lovely golden eyes too. I think it almost got like a hint of green in them. Just a little bit. I suppose it depends which angle you look at them. She makes funny noises, hey Seb? Like really interesting. Normally it's a classic oh, row, row. But she makes all sorts of strange sounds. Apparently I don't sound much like a leopard because she didn't even glance at me once. It's okay. Yeah, she's still looking back to the north again, so I'm thinking that's where the cub must be. There are lots of termite mounds in that direction too. That would be a great place to stash a cub. Remember, her little one is very young, 3 months old. Very, very, very young. So during this time it is going to be important the way we handle the vehicles around the cub. Our voices, of course, we want to make sure that this habituation process goes smoothly and she becomes her little one becomes as relaxed as most of the leopards out here in the Sabi sand. Right, my bum is glued to the seat, my patient pants are on. Brent, however, is not wearing any patient pants at the moment because he's out tracking.
Well, we just went down Cheetah Cut Line, all the way from where Thandi was last seen at about 11 o'clock today. And, it seems like Tingana's been moving during the day, so he's quite far from where he was left, well, his tracks at least. And I'm just going to see quickly if they go back onto Chitwa while we're here. So that's Tingana, nice big male leopard. I haven't seen him since I've been back this time, so let's have a quick look. Now, tracking along this road is always incredibly difficult because, here we go, tracks all gone. It is a main access road, so there is a lot of traffic to and from the lodges along here. So, can keep one guessing. You see any tracks, Dav? Let's have a look carefully. Nope, but I'm pretty sure if he's continued on, I didn't see tracks of him going off the road. He's definitely was walking along the road, and I just think they've been driven over. So I just want to check one of the roads going into Chitwa. Yeah, there we go. 2 tracks and then driven over again. There he is, walking. Good for us so far that he turns into Chitwa, not Little Gowrie. I've lost his tracks again. Rabbi is wondering, is there a particular leopard or lion that I favor? Well, we're not supposed to have favorites, but yes, there always are. I would say, out of all the leopards I've seen since I've been at Safari Live, that my most favorite of all favorites leopards was a young male leopard named Djuma. All tied with Shongile, a young female who we think is probably dead. Djuma had to move out of the area. He was chased out, and he's actually set up territory in Mala Mala down to the south of us here. Okay, well, Tingana didn't come this way. Let's turn around. Oh, let's just double check this last little bit up here. I think he might have ducked in. There's a little water hole right here. I'm going to go check there quickly. I think he got hot during the day and he might have just popped into the water hole, which is about 30 seconds away, so we're going to go have a look. That would make the most sense to me. And just check these bushes around this water hole carefully. I'm pretty sure he would have just zoomed in here when it got hot. So his last tracks were just down there and they're none on the road. So if I was a hot leopard, I'd also come have a drink here. Okay, I'm going to double check all these thickets around this water hole. While we do that, let's go have a look at that lioness with Tristan.
Well, our lion is still moving down the road, so I'm trying to just kind of reverse in front of her and give her quite a bit of space while I do it. So she's slowly but surely kind of walking towards us. But I believe Taylor needs a link, and so that can only be exciting news. So let's quickly send you across there.
Oh my goodness. Kuchava just ran, bolted. There's a third lioness. We couldn't work out what happened. Absolutely bolted. Oh my gosh. I think this is Styx. That is where Kuchava was, and that's where Seb and I think there was a kill, because you remember how we said during the school drive we could smell rotting flesh? So I think that's what they're scrapping over. Kuchava bolted north in the direction that she's been looking to find that cub. I'm sure this is the Styx Pride. Let's go forward, Seb. Let me get in there quickly for you. Hold on. We'll go back and try and find Kuchava. Let's just see what's going on in here first. Yeah. Definitely the Styx Pride. Very, very mangy, I'm afraid. Look how they're smelling. Look at these. Look at the lionesses. They know that there was a leopard here. They know. They're on her scent. I hope that Kuchava runs in the direction of her cub and takes it very, very, very far away from here. These cats are hungry. Not that they'd necessarily be wanting to eat that leopard cub, but they will try and kill Kuchava and her little one. That is the reality out here. They're both competing for the same kind of food. I don't know what they're... Oh, looks like it maybe was a day. Could you see the head there, Seb? Let me go forward a little bit. And then... Okay. Now, if you look, I saw one of the youngsters. It looked like a daycare head that they had. So that must have been what the kill was. I'm just looking with my binoculars. Because Seb and I, in different spots, we can see different sections. Now, I'm pretty sure Kuchava had eaten most of that already. I don't think there would have been much left on there. Especially for these guys to scrap like that. I mean, a daycare is a tiny meal. I'm just looking to see where those lionesses have gone. Did you see where they went? Oh, no, me as I was... Yeah. Oh, there might be a little bit left there. Looks like they're pulling a relatively good amount of flesh off. I don't know where the lionesses have gone. I'm trying to see if... Oh, there's one. They're moving straight in the direction exactly as to where Kuchava was. They're looking around, looking up in the trees. You see that? Now, I believe you're all very stressed. Me, even me. My heart is sitting in my feet at the moment. I couldn't work out why that leopard ran like she did. I thought that maybe she'd seen something going towards the area that her cub was in, and then Seb shouted, "Lion behind us, lion." That was crazy. Okay, good. They're going in the opposite direction now. Now they're going back west. That's amazing. Now they must have smelt this carcass. They must have smelt it. Because all... combination of smelling it and perhaps picking up on Kuchava's contact calls, and then they came running on in. Like I said, it's a dog-eat-dog world out here, or cat-eat-cat world in our case. One of the youngsters running off with some scraps. Clever little one. These are the sub-adults fighting here. I have not seen the Styx Pride for an exceptionally long time. It's been really, really, really a while since I last saw them. Do you know what I'm going to do? At some point, I'm going to have to try and get hold of Sheldon. And my radio doesn't work down here to tell him what's actually happening. Because he was the one that told me about Kuchava as well. And helped me get into the sighting, pointed me in the right direction. Again, we're all on our own. There's one of the lionesses. I think what she's going to do is she's going to go to the other sub-adult that's run off a little bit south of here with some scraps and probably try and take it away from it. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's 6 Styx sub-adults left. But I can't even remember. The last time I saw them, they must have been, the oldest cubs must have been about 7 months old, and I think the youngest ones were about 3 months old. It was quite a while ago, though. Anyway, it doesn't really sound like there's too much left. It did look like a little common daycare that Kuchava had caught. Ooh, big fights going on here. All normal, of course. Remember, these animals don't have any table manners. They eat how they want to eat. And if you aren't savage and quick enough, you'll leave the table with no dinner. No, Styx Pride not looking good, though. Very mangy. They look even more mangy than when I last saw them. So what do you think we should do? Do you think we should quickly go and check where Kuchava went? There's a massive jackalberry tree behind us. That if I was her, that's where I would have gone. I think let's go for a quick look around for Kuchava. Let's do that. And we'll come back here. We can definitely do that. So we're going to zip around and quickly go and see if we can pick up on Kuchava again. I bet you're all worried sick, just like Sebastian and I are. We can hear these guys fighting over the scraps, so we will come back here. But while we do that, I'm going to send you across to Tristan to see where his lioness has gone.
Well, seems as though absolute chaos is going on Taylor's side of the world, and hopefully Kuchava and that little cub made a hasty retreat before anything untoward happened, and hopefully the Styx attention was so busy on the diker that they didn't worry about her and the little one. Our lion was also kind of just milling around at the moment, looking. It kind of went into a bush and it was looking in under the bush, sniffing around, and now she's just sitting kind of panting on the bank of the Mulawati River. Now, she might go down into the Mulawati. If she does, we're going to lose her pretty quickly because, unfortunately, where she's going to go down is Gremlin Central, so it's not going to be ideal. So I'm hoping she turns back towards the road and comes our way. So Ashlyn, no, I don't think another pride would accept this little one, unfortunately. Even though she's so young, she'll still be seen as another lion, as a threat to the existence of the prides that live here. So the Nkuhumas or the Styx had to come across her. I'm pretty sure she would have the wrath of both of them to have to deal with, and it's going to be very, very difficult for her if that is the case. Now, she seems to be going down towards the Milwaukee. I'm going to try and catch up with her and just see if we can keep her from the bank, but she will go down, and if she carries on, it's going to be okay. It's just this little section of the Milwaukee that is really very poor for our reception. It's not long, but hopefully she'll kind of drop down and then head a little bit further towards the sort of southern side. She's kind of looking down into the drainage. Interestingly enough, this is quite close to where we last had tracks of Hosanna, so I wonder if she smelt him somewhere here, because she's changed direction completely. She walked straight south down the road, and all of a sudden she just kind of veered off very, very quickly. So we'll try and see where she's going. I wonder if maybe we're going to see another leopard-lion interaction. Can you imagine if we get two in one drive? That would be absolutely ridiculous. Although I think Hosanna might have the edge in this case, because I think he might actually be physically in better shape than what this lioness is. Now, I'm hoping that the gremlins stay away while we go down. Whether or not they do is anyone's guess at this stage. Now, I hear an impala alarm calling. Whether it's seen that lioness or not, I'm not quite sure. The impalas are alarm calling here. Yeah, I think it's seen that lioness because it's running from the bank, so it must have seen this little lioness from up top here. I don't see where the lioness is. The impala is calling just on the top of the bank. What's this here? Now, these are tracks from what looks like... Just trying to see whose tracks these are, because there's tracks here. It looks like there might have been a leopard here as well, because there's tracks going up to the bush and scent mark. You can see them walking in the vehicle tracks here, and I think it was Brent drove here this morning. It was in this area, and so it's quite interesting if there are tracks on top of vehicle tracks. Now, theoretically, she should have come down right here. I don't know where she's gone. Oh, there she is. I can see her in front. But I'm interested to know which tracks these are. Looks like a leopard. It doesn't look like lions that are here. I wonder. It's going the opposite direction and away from us. Her tracks are the ones that are going south at the moment. I don't know. Maybe she picked up the steps of something, but it's definitely her track. And there's other tracks that were going up on the left-hand side, so who knows? Anyway, while I follow her through this patch, let's send you across.
Welcome back, everyone. Apparently Tristan's found some gremlins. So the last tracks of Tingana go into this little thicket here, and it's right on the border of Chitwa. So I'm just checking to see if the tracks have come out. Also, there's quite a lot of impala, guinea fowl, warthog, all sorts out here. So I was hoping that they would do the spotting for me and start alarm calling, but alas, not yet. Just listening carefully. So there's plenty of prey opportunities around here. And those tracks were just... Oh, squirrel. Sounds more like a squirrel having a squirrel conversation than an alarm call. Shadow Wolf would like to know, are the water holes safe for humans to drink from? Shadow Wolf, I'd probably say it depends on which humans to drink from, but as a general rule, no, they are not safe. Most people would probably get an upset stomach, but I don't think there's anything particularly terrible that would kill you. It would taste absolutely foul, taste of elephant urine and elephant dung and all that type of stuff. I'm just trying to very carefully check through here again, make sure I didn't miss a track. Well, it seems like Taylor's having plenty of action with the Styx and Kuchava, so let's go see what's happening.
Whew. I am sweating. Not because it's hot anymore, because my nerves. I promise you, it's like being a worried parent out here with all these animals. I mean, my hat was almost off my head. Just the branch whacked my face. So basically what's happened is that Kochava ran north in the direction of her cub and then has slunk all the way back round, and now she's sitting west of where those lions were, as sort of scavenging over the rest of her kill. All the growling and stuff is basically stopped now, as I think that they've devoured the leftover daycare. I don't think Kuchava's going to make any noises at the moment. I think she's going to sit as quietly as she can. So she's obviously come back to see what's going on. I think she wants to see maybe how many lions are in the area, what's going on. Are they going to go towards where her cub is stashed? I don't think the lions know where the cub is. Whew. I'm just glad we found her. Hey, big girl. Well done. That was quick, let me tell you. Until you see a leopard running away from lions, you don't realize how fast they can actually move. They are quick off of the mark. And you can see every now and then she stops panting to listen as to what's actually going on over there. But I can't hear the lions anymore. She needs to be careful. Those Styx lions are relentless. They just have a look about them today. And I don't think Kuchava or her little one needs to be anywhere near them. They need to stay as far away as possible. That was very tense. Hey, Seb? That, my heart, I cannot tell you how stressful that was for me. Now, I believe you're all happy that we managed to relocate on Kuchava. I'm also, I agree with you 100%. We were super, super lucky. I was worried that she had disappeared. Initially, they thought that, bless you, that she crossed out. Now, Jennifer, you're wondering if need be, would a leopard carry its cub up a tree? I've never seen that before, but, I mean, Kuchava's cub is so small still. I mean, 3 months old. If you look back just a little while ago at #NotRebel, Tandi's little daughter, you would remember how small 3 months is. It's still tiny, perhaps out of desperation. I mean, these cats are able to take things up trees that weigh just as much as them, sometimes even more than them. So a little cub shouldn't be a problem. Whether that cub will be able to climb a tree very well, I highly doubt it. But I mean, even if it's just putting it in the fork of a tree, remember, lions can also climb trees, so it might not even be the best position. I think what Kuchava's doing now and not going to her cub until these lions move out of the area is probably the best decision. Because if she goes to fetch it, that little one's not going to be able to keep up if she needs to get into a sprint again. So I think laying low and leaving that area alone. I'm sure the cub is fine, everybody. The lions haven't gone down there. That was crazy, though. Crazy, crazy, crazy scary. She's still looking north. I think if something had happened, she'd be a lot more distressed than this. Like I said, I'll never forget the morning after Little Bush Mvula's mother lost one of her cubs. The sounds that she was making, she was charging vehicles. She was so unhappy. We knew that something had gone wrong, and then we realized what had actually happened. Well done, girl. I know you're not in the clear just yet. Now, Natalie, you're wondering if she's panting because she's either A, nervous, or B, hot, tired, all these different feelings. I think it's a combination of both now. She was panting earlier because it was hot. Remember, she'd also been feeding, so all that food pushing up against her diaphragm, causing her to take short, sharp breaths. Again, it's hot, and I think the adrenaline is pumping through her body at the moment too. I'm sure she's pretty scared. Imagine a whole pride of lions coming through, charging in like that. They gave us this huge surprise. We had absolutely no idea. They came in so quietly. So quietly. It's only when I don't know if they were walking or if they were maybe stalking on in, but when they did start running, you could hear that there were lions around. You could definitely hear that that was the case. My goodness, well done. Very impressive. Remember, this leopard is still young too. She's very inexperienced at life. I bet she's had a fair few encounters with lions and perhaps other leopards and buffalo and baboons and all these different types of things. But she's still got a lot to learn too. She's nowhere near as experienced as Tandy is. Yeah. Now, Avon Wishes, you're wondering if a leopard would fight a lion to protect its cub? I don't think so. I think... Oh. Right. We'll come back and answer your question. Let's very quickly go to Tristan, whose lioness is walking straight towards an impala.
Well, we're still following our lioness, who unfortunately has just disturbed a whole bunch of impalas that just scattered in every direction. She went sniffing around in the Mulawati for a long time, and I thought maybe she had found herself something, because she went in under a bush, and then she decided to kind of emerge from there back, and is now going towards Twin Dams at the moment. So what I'm going to try to do is just let her get past this junction, and then I think I'll get past her. You can hear some of the impalas on my right-hand side at the moment shouting. Let's try and get round that, because I wonder if she's going to go and drink at Twin Dams. Seems as though she's done a tour of the dams today. She's done a lot of kind of walking at Chelapan. She's come down towards sort of Twin Dams. She was at Gowrie Dam. She must have gone past Simamili Dam at some point today. So done a bit of dam hopping. Maybe that's how she's trying to find her pride, is just by going towards water points. Maybe she knows that if she stays at water points, then she gets to kind of catch up with them. That's the idea I'm having anyway. But let's see where she goes from here. I'm pretty sure she's going to cross south into Little Gowrie. I don't think she's going to stay on our side. There's nothing really for her in this area, so I'm pretty sure she's going to try and hang on this side. Now I wonder if she's going to use this pathway. Let's have a look. She's coming straight down towards me at the moment. Is she? Yes, she is. So she's going to change onto the pathway, which is what I thought she might do. Now I just want to see which pathway she takes from there, if she goes right or left. She's coming left. Alright, so let me just go back a little bit, because I'm on her pathway at the moment. So I just want to go back, let her come past. I thought she might use the one behind me, but she seems as though she's going to use this one. There we go. Let's just leave ourselves there and give her a bit of space to be able to walk. She sees almost like a leopard in that she curls her tail up as if to say, I'm not hunting you, leave me alone, stop shouting at me. And lots of bite marks around that tail area. Shame, girl, you've really had a tough one. It's amazing what these animals can endure, and even at a young age like this, the fact that she's been able to go through that and survive all of those cuts and scrapes and markings that she's got on her is pretty insane already. Now, are you squeaking? Sounds like she's kind of contact calling a little bit. So all that snorting around us is just impalas in every single direction that we've got at the moment, which means that she's being shouted at from every way. There's back from that side, this side behind me. So it's not easy if you're a little lioness being shouted at. I think she's going to go down maybe for some water. So let's just try and get ourselves into a nice spot to be able to watch her drink. I think we'll follow her pretty much there. It's going to be the easiest way to go with her. Looks like she's going to head perfectly for a little water, which is good news. Okay, impalas, settle down. I don't think this lioness is going to be hunting at all, so that's why she's probably not too worried about the impalas. So what I want to try and do is get Craig and myself into a place where we can kind of just sit, and hopefully this lioness will just kind of come down and actually drink from edges of the water point, and we'll have a situation where we can see her drinking quite nicely. So somewhere here, Craig. But let's try. But theoretically, it should be quite nice over there. So if she does drink, it'll be quite nice. We'll get a nice little reflection, I think. We'll just have to see how it goes. You can hear guinea fowls are alarm calling. everybody's shouting at her. Shame. Her approach to this waterhole has definitely not been an incognito one. But no, I don't think she's going to drink. I think she's going to walk right past this dam by the looks of things. Or are you going to sit down there, girl? I'm not surprised. It's been a long day already for you. You've walked quite far already. She's just watching the impalas, and I'm sure she would love one of those impalas to be dead already, that she could be able to go and feed off it. But instead she's going to get shouted at. There's going to be guinea fowls, there's going to be impalas all over the place, and that's going to make things a little tough for her. Anyway, we'll see what she does and see what she gets up to. While we do that, let's send you back to Kuchava, who I'm sure is still looking all over for where those sticks are.
She is indeed, she is indeed. Whew. But I tell you, right now, the adrenaline is still pumping through Seb and I. I can't believe how quickly that all happened. My goodness, so it just goes to show you how much more in tune these animals are to their environment than we could ever be. I mean, we were sitting quietly too, hey Seb? I mean, we weren't saying a word. I think you were trying to record sounds of Kuchava calling the cub. I mean, so we were sitting very, very quietly. I can't believe I didn't hear anything. Not a sound. There wasn't even a bird alarming. So they must have been stalking in. They must have heard her. They must have smelt something. Whew. But I suppose we had a question that we were going to get back to from Avon Wishes about whether a leopard would ever fight a lion to protect its cub. I don't think so. I mean, overall, a lion is much stronger than a leopard and could do some serious damage to not just the cub, but also to, well, the mother itself. So I think what would happen is that, sadly, she might stand her ground for a couple of seconds and then realize what's going on and actually end up fleeing, because she knows she can have another cub again, but there's only one of her. And if she dies, well, then there's no, her purpose in life has failed. She can't pass her genetics on anymore because she won't be alive. So I have seen footage of leopards protecting their young from strange males, just like a lioness would. Try and put up a fight if there are new males that have come into the area and try to do a takeover. But again, even lions realize that a big male lion, if he comes in and he says, I'm going to kill your cubs, and if you don't move out of the way, I will kill you too. And it must be a traumatizing experience for these animals, because you can see they don't want to go, but they know they have to, if it means losing their life. So it's a shame. It's a very awkward thing, awkward, horrible situation that these animals are put into. But again, this is nature. This is just how it is up here. We're just here to observe and try and understand what's going on with all the many mysteries in the wilderness. But a really amazing thing to see, though. Now, Shawayne, you're wondering if the cub would have had natural instincts to hide away from the lions, even at this age? Yes, I definitely think so. I think once that little leopard cub would have heard the growling, it would have gone into camouflage mode and sat very, very still. Maybe even run away a little bit and into a new shrub and ducked out of sight. Like I said, I think even when the kudu was barking a little bit earlier, that would have frightened the cub, and perhaps that's why it didn't come out, because it was nervous. I am so happy. I cannot tell you how happy I am that cub didn't come out. Hey, Seb? If that cub was there, I honestly don't think that it would have made it out there alive. Yeah, maybe thank you to the kudu. Maybe we need to say thank you to that antelope for barking so loudly and so closely that perhaps it terrified it and it wasn't, sure of those sounds and decided to stay put. Because those big cats came in so quickly and they all spread out. Some of them went straight in for where the rotten smell was coming from, which was under the bush where we initially saw Kuchava. And then the others, the two lionesses, they didn't even go there. They went straight to where Kuchava was laying, under that wattle. They went straight there. They then were looking up into the tree as if to say, we can smell you, where are you? So I think that would have been a terrifying experience and a very sad one if that little cub had indeed come out. So maybe it's a good thing. and that it was being a little bit on the cheeky side and wanting to ignore Mom today. Everything happens for a reason. What a great life lesson, though, that young cub has learned. It was really, really, I mean, obviously a lot of emotions involved in this kind of sighting. Excitement, you know, fear, your adrenaline's going, you don't know what to think. But I definitely learned a lot for this. Now, First Lady, you're wondering if this kind of situation happens often in a leopard's life. I think so. I think more so than we think. Again, we just don't spend enough time with these animals. You know, sometimes we aren't able to follow them 24/7 due to the fact that the vegetation is too thick, or they move off of an area that we can traverse on. But I think that this happens often. We have also seen, who did Jamie have? I'm trying to remember. Was it Tingana that got chased up the tree by the Kuchava lionesses? I mean, leopards get chased up of trees by wild dogs all the time as well. That's like a wild dog's favorite thing to do, is to tree a leopard. It's like they get a thrill out of it. So I definitely think it happens often. Remember I told you the story of how I had Little Bush, her cub, Mashabeni, and the 2 Charleston male lions up in a massive fig tree in the Msukri River down at Sabi. That was an insane experience too. I think it happens relatively often. It's just you have to learn super quickly on how to get out of there as quick as possible. And Kuchava was really lucky today. Very, very lucky. Because, I mean, she ran off before any of those lionesses got close to her, hey, Seb? I mean, when she dashed, Seb and I sort of looked at one another when we went, what's going on? And like I said to you, I initially thought that maybe she'd seen a hyena or something going to where she'd last left the cub, and she was running in to try and defend it. And then Seb was like, lion. But it was like a good 20 seconds after the whole thing happened. So it just, like I said, it just goes to show how she picked up on that whole situation so quickly. So quickly. And those lions flew in. They have a charging speed of 22 meters per second. That's quick. They got in there fast. She just showed them that she's quicker off the mark, though, and very in tune with her surroundings. And because I suppose leopards aren't the biggest cats out there, they have to watch their 6 o'clock a little bit more often than perhaps a lion does. And that obviously worked to her advantage today. Right, Brent, however, is pondering his thoughts, and it seems like he's doing a bit of cloud watching.
Well, we're cloud watching for a very, very good reason. Now, often the most effective way to find all the animals out here is to be very, very patient. And that's what we're doing at the moment. We're sitting in the area where Tundi was last seen calling, and we're just very, very quietly watching the clouds, sweating profusely, doing some bird watching as the emerald spotted wood doves have been coming down to drink. And we're just basically waiting for a clue, a hint, a sound that will lead us into the direction where Tundi might be. And there's always something to see or something to hear out in the African bush. In this case we have, emerald spotted wood dove having a drink. We also have some ringneck doves or Cape turtle doves having a drink. Now, it could be the sound of Cisticular's alarm calling. It could be dwarf mongoose alarm calling that lead us to the leopard eventually. And we've just got here, and we've decided it's definitely within our best interest just to sit quietly for 10 or 15 minutes and listen very, very carefully to the sounds of the African bush. And of course we are quite lucky because the view's not too shabby. It's got very still, very hot and very humid over the last little while. You can see there's some big storms to the west and to the south, but I don't think they're going to get to us, unfortunately. I can hear a paradise flycatcher somewhere below the pan. can also hear a dark-capped bulbul. Andrew's wondering, how did I become a guide? Well, Andrew, I'm quite lucky, unlike most. I grew up in the safari industry in Penda in northern Zululand and in Kwondo, well, in northern Botswana in the Okavango Delta and the Kwondo River. My family has been involved in the safari industry since the 80s. I've literally grown up in the bush. And when I was very young, we even had a teacher who lived with us in the bush. My mom didn't want to send us to boarding school when we were very little. But for high school, we went to boarding school. And then school holidays were spent on game drive and in safari camps all over Africa. Mostly while growing up in Botswana, Zambia and South Africa. And then I went off to university very briefly. It didn't agree with me. And then I went traveling for a bit and then ended up in Zambia and have pretty much been in the bush since about 20. Working as a guide, concession manager, anti-poaching, all sorts. So very lucky. I mean, very, very few children were as privileged as my brother and myself with our upbringing. I mean, we were going on rhino and lion captures at age 4 and 5. While we play the patience game to try find Tundi, let's go back to Tristan and that lost little Salala lioness.
Well, Brent, I wish you good luck, and I hope that your patience game ends in reward. Our lioness is up and moving again. She didn't stay down for long. In fact, she actually sort of jumped up and went trotting up the bank and kind of looked towards the Mulawati, and now she's sort of gone stationary again. So I don't know what she heard or what she thought she heard, but definitely something piqued her interest. There's impalas everywhere here that she's kind of watching, and none of them are really going to fall for the trap because they've all heard the other's alarm call, and so they'll know that there's something around. But you can see it by her tail that she's still quite interested in what's going on and is watching a lot of what's happening in this area. Now let's see if she's going to lie down. So Crazy Legs, this lioness is probably, I would say, difficult to say, but in terms of where the sticks are, I don't actually know 100% sure where the sticks are, but I think they're on Chitwa somewhere. So from where we are to Chitwa, driving time is not more than 5 minutes. Oh, okay. And sleep time it is. So about 5 minutes away from where Chitwa starts, but I would say from the sticks, maybe as the crow flies, maybe 3 kilometers, so close to 2 miles away. In Kuhumas are a little further. They probably are closer towards about 4 or 5 miles away. And then where her actual pride is and where her pride hangs around, that's probably from here, straight line, about 9-10 miles from where we are. So she's got a bit of walking to do to get back towards where the pride is. But the sticks are probably the closest, but they're preoccupied now. And if they're on the eastern side of Chitwa, which they could very well be, then in all likelihood she's a little further. She might be about equidistant between the Nkuhumas and the sticks. Either way though, if they start roaring, she'll be able to hear it and probably go the other way. She'll know not to head towards them. You can see a brave Franklin that's running around there, that this poor lioness's tail is kind of belying its attitude towards that Natal Franklin, as the Natal Franklin is chirping away. So the lioness's tail is kind of showing that she's paying attention, even though she's kind of lying down and sleeping. So she's just flopped down. I think she's going to try and have a bit of a rest here, and I suppose she's deserved it. She's walked a long way and moved quite a bit. So Nina, she's vulnerable in general. Out in the open or in the thickets, she's very vulnerable at the moment, being on her own like this and the age that she is. But yes, out in the open is obviously going to be much easier, and especially because being out in the open attracts the attention of multiple other animals. So things like impalas that are alarm calling at her, alarm calls attract the attention of dominant male leopards, of hyenas, of other lions, and so she needs to be careful walking around and causing too much of a commotion, because the more shouting there is, the more you might find something like a clan of hyenas arriving here, and they see this lioness and they might go after her. So she is, I suppose, a little bit more at risk in the open than she would be in a thicket, but either way she's very vulnerable at the moment. It's going to be a tough couple of months for her unless she can find her pride. If she can join back with her pride, she should be okay. Except that The Birminghams are going to probably still put more pressure. If it was them that caused the separation, they're going to try and pressurize this lioness even more, and eventually they'll probably chase her out completely or kill her. So it's going to be a tough time. If she was with some siblings, maybe it would be better, or one of the lionesses split off and took their siblings away, which is what has happened with the Salalas in the past, then maybe. But for now, I think this lioness is going to have a really tough time of it and really struggle with being able to kind of survive in this area. It's such a predator-rich environment, and there's so many males. You've got the Avoca males, the Birmingham males, and you've got all these other prides around here. I think a young lioness like this has got a really tough time on her hands. Also, coupled with that, a lot of hyenas in this area as well. So she's really going to have a tough time to stay alive. I don't know how good her chances are unless she can, like I say, find the pride again, and her mom can get her out of danger and raise her in an area where she feels that she'll be safer. But I would like to know exactly how she got separated. I don't know if there is anyone. I did ask the guys, but nobody's come back to me yet as to exactly how the separation happened and who was the one responsible for all of those bite marks. Shame. A little bit of tatty feet as well, and you can see a couple bite marks there. Shame. Well, she's going to sleep, and we're going to probably just sit with her. We'll try and move a bit so we can get a better view than what we've got now. While we do that, let's send you back across to Taylor, who I think is still with Kuchava, and sounds like she's found herself a bit of higher ground to watch what's going on.
Goodness gracious, drama in the Sabi sand this afternoon, hey? Goodness, with Tristan trying to figure out what's happened with that lone lioness and how she got separated from her pride, us sitting here on the edge of our seats, hoping that the Styx Pride are going to move away and that Kuchava can go back and safely relocate and be reunited with her little one. Now, just to give you some indication as to where I am, we're on Chitwa, and we are currently quite close to Gari Main. I can actually see the power lines, the boundary, probably only about 100 meters or so, and then we're quite close to the old Chitwa driveway, so Tristan would know exactly where I am. We're just off a road called Bukalutu for reference for Tristan. Rebecca, good luck. Let's hear you repeat that back to Tristan. So we're quite far east, from where Rebecca's now laughing, going, she's not able to repeat that. So basically, Rebecca, we are in the eastern corner of Chitwa, essentially. I'm trying to think, if that lioness is going towards Twin Dams, we're probably about a kilometer as the crow flies south from where Tristan is. So not too far away. And I wonder if she could have heard all that commotion. Oh, look how she's pricked her ears up. I'm wondering if those lions are not on the move now. See how the head sort of changed direction? She's looking a little bit more to the left. So I'm listening carefully to see if I can hear any rustling moving through the grass, through the leaves now. I'm also looking behind the vehicle to see if I can spot any of the lions. But nothing just yet. Perhaps those lions have taken a break. She's definitely going to go looking for her cub. But once those lions move out of the area, she just runs the risk, if she goes off of this termite mound and starts slinking through the grass, that A, either those Styx lions are going to hear her, B, they're going to maybe smell her, and they're definitely going to chase after her. Just having a look. I wonder what's going on. Maybe that cub is even starting to move. I hope that that's not the case. I hope that little one stays put wherever it is. Now, Eagle Scout, a relatively hard question to answer. You're wondering who's got the strongest bond between their cubs, either a leopard or a lion. Well, lions obviously live in prides, so the lionesses are quite lucky in the sense that sometimes they end up palming their cubs off on the other lions or some of the older sub-adult lions and, put them on babysitting duty. That definitely happens. But both of them will have an equally strong bond with their little ones. I mean, I've seen both lion and leopard that have lost their youngsters, and you can clearly see that they are distressed in a situation like that. So it's quite tricky. It's a hard one to say who's better off. I think that they'll be the same. Remember, leopards are, of course, solitary. So it's mom and offspring that are together. There's no one else. Sometimes the male pops on by, but it's just them. So you can imagine, probably be a little bit harder for the leopard, but I think they've got a very good bond either way. Oh, why? Something that Kuchava might want to try and find after her kill was stolen by the lions is what Brent has, having a drink.
Dave, you can blame Dave, everyone, that the warthog are gone. I told him not to move. They were nervous when they arrived, very skittish. I said, Dave, just stay sitting how you were and try use the camera. We're trying our best not to move because the warthog looked like they would go there. But Dave couldn't help himself. Dave had to move his legs. Dave, this is all on you. That we don't have warthogs wallowing in front of us now. While we've been sitting here so patiently, the warthog looks like it's coming back now. So, just behind there. They're very thirsty, as I say, it's very hot. And if we keep still and quiet again, they hopefully will come back if Dave doesn't move his legs. Okay, we're going to play the patience game with the warthogs and hopefully hear something from Something Seeing Tundi shortly. But in the meantime, let's go back to Taylor.
Sorry, Brent, I'm taking away from your warthog sighting. It sounds quite lovely. I thought we would just quickly wrap everything that we had here. The reason being is that there's a long list of people that want to come into the sighting, and the sighting with Kuchava and the lions is one sighting. So it's not like we can split it up. They're too close together. So what we will do is we'll try and come back here tomorrow morning to finish off the story, to see if Kuchava has indeed reunited with her cub and to see what has happened with the Styx Pride. But very, very hectic sighting this afternoon. Like I said, it all happened so quickly. I was terrified. I couldn't speak when it had all happened because initially I thought that maybe the cub was under that shrub. And I really had thought that maybe the Styx Pride had got hold of it, and that's why I couldn't even speak, because I thought, literally, my heart sank to my feet. Right, everybody seems to be moving out. There's going to be a changeover in the sighting now. We've been here for a very long time. I don't know who I'm sending you off to, however, but I think I'll send you back across to Brent, and hopefully those warthogs are still quenching their thirst.
Okay, we're keeping very still and very quiet. Now, this pan has had lions and leopard at it over today, so the smells must be quite scary for a warthog. And we're just keeping very still. 2 of them have come back, a third is not as relaxed. Hello, piggies. There we go, the other one's just laying down. Might do a little bit of wallowing. As I say, it's really hot and humid at the moment. So, the third nervous warthog's coming back, Dave. You can just see its head popping up there. So Dave and I are trying our best not to move at all. It's not very relaxed, that other one. Well, neither are these 2, but they're more relaxed than the others. Ravinda is wondering, is this a man-made pan? They're snorting. Go to the one there on the right, David, snorking. Oh. No, they're going to be leaving. Ravinda, yes, it is a man-made pan. It is not a pumped pan though, so it only fills up with rain. So, but it is a man-made pan. Now we're getting to the time of the day where I'm hoping Tundi's going to get moving. And as I say, we're playing the patience game presently. The warthogs are disappearing off to the right there. Now they would have come for one last drink and before heading back towards their dens for the evening. As you get to this time of the day, the warthogs are going to want to be safely underground, away from lions and leopards. It is just an amazing time of the day to be sitting quietly next to a waterhole. And you see, you never know what might make an appearance. It was warthogs now. Hopefully it'll be a leopard shortly. Still listening for bird alarm calls. Sinak is wondering, are there any other birds around? We've just still got some Cape turtle doves down at the water's edge. I can hear some francolins in the distance, but at the moment there's only doves around. Doves frequently drink in the early morning or late afternoon, so it's not uncommon to actually get many doves around little pans like this at this time of the day, especially after a really hot day like this. Davy, that's also a dove. So just doves. Ooh, Davy. Oh, it all took off. But there was a... If we stay on the pan, we might get a nice shot of a dove flying in. This is the time of the day, as I say, where they come to drink. There's just one drinking on the closest side to us at the moment. There's one flying in. There we go. I'll let you know if I see any more coming in. Incoming. Incredibly fast flyers. Oh, we got a laughing dove. Another species of dove. So now we've had 3 species of dove here. We've had emerald spotted, Cape turtle, and now go to the right, Dave. One with a pink breast. There we go. Little laughing doves. So 3 species of dove have come to visit the pan so far. They're called laughing doves because of their call and because of the way they move when they do call. Their heads bob up and down. They look like someone who is absolutely cackling away.